Strike is a right. I will not negotiate with anybody to call it.
The Treasury does not honor whatever you agreed. We are likely to see another strike in 2026?
Not likely. You will see. But as we speak now, universities don't have money. The strike could have been avoided.
How?
They could have avoided this strike. I gave them warning that if the government honor their obligation, we should not have a strike in the near future. But if they don't honor, si mimi mnanijua.
A very good evening and a warm welcome to this special edition of Events 2025, right here on your favorite TV channel, TV47, and where tonight we get to sit down with a man who has been at the center of events, major events in Kenya's higher education. That is none other than Dr. Constantine Wasonga, who is the Secretary General WASU. This man has been referred to as fearless, sometimes controversial, principled, stubborn, and sometimes all that in one sentence. But tonight we get to speak to him to understand what really pushes him to fight this hard for lecturers. Also, we get to hear from his perspective about the future of universities in the country. You can follow this conversation on all of our social media platforms. On YouTube is TV47 Kenya. On Facebook is TV47 Kenya. On X, formerly Twitter, is at TV47 News, and you can find me at Kilemi_Andrine. Dr. Constantine Wasonga, thank you so much for making time for us this evening.
Thank you very
and
much.
Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
Or is it you who should be saying Karibu to your office?
No, welcome also.
Asante.
Yeah.
Now let's begin from where Kenyans will remember for the year 2025, and that is the 49-day strike. A man who shut down universities, all the 42 public universities, for 49 days. Now, looking back, what would you say was the turning point for this strike, and what did this reveal about our universities?
The turning point for the 49-day strike was the acceptance by the government that they owed us 7.9 billion. You know, when we started this conversation, we told the public that the government owes us 7.9 billion. Then SRC came with a figure of 624 million, which the CS for education and the PS for education also concurred with SRC. So in our circles, we were being a bit worried. Now suppose we do audit and we had told the public that we are owed 7.9 billion. And now the government is talking about a paltry 624 million. That was what was worrying me so much.
And where exactly was the disconnect? Because the new union says 7.9 billion, but the government gives a different figure.
You know, the people who are at the ministry right now were not there in 2017 to 2021. And at the back of my mind, I knew we had done audit and I had the figures. We had perused all the payrolls in public universities. I had the audit report. So when they were talking about 624 million, I was just laughing at them. And what we can learn there, I've realized that there are people in our public universities who do not like saying the truth to power. They were just lying to the CS. They were just lying to the PS. Until there's a time I asked the PS State Department for Higher Education and Research, that have these people told you that we did audit with them in Naivasha? That took us close to 1 month. That is when the CS realized that she was being lied to. So the time the government accepted that they owe university community 7.9 billion, that was the turning point.
At some point, the ministry mentioned that this money was sent to universities but in form of capitation, and that also did not sit well with the union.
No, what was sent as capitation was the 200 million. Initially, they were claiming that university had paid 7.2 billion to university workers in form of automatic annual increment. And we disapproved them because automatic annual increment is paid based on basic pay. So what I was asking them, how could you pay this purported automatic annual increment before even the CBA was negotiated? There was no legal framework then, because the 2017-2021 CBA was negotiated in 2019, and we signed it on 28th October 2019. So now when SRC was saying that 7.2 billion had been paid in the form of automatic annual increment, I asked them a simple question that they have not answered today. How could you pay automatic annual increments in 2018 while we didn't have the pay structure?
So do you think this strike could have been avoided? Because 7 weeks is not a small amount of time for students to be out of classrooms. Do you think this strike could have been avoided, or were lecturers pushed to the edge without an alternative?
The strike could have been avoided.
How?
Had the vice chancellors been truthful to the government, we could have not wasted students' time. At the same time, had the government obeyed the court order, they could have avoided this strike. I gave them warning. I started warning them from March 28th, 2025. When the Court of Appeal dismissed their notice of appeal, I wrote to IPCCF, copied SRC and the Ministry of Education. I did a reminder in May, and they just kept quiet. When we were in Mombasa in July, I told them, if you don't pay this money, I don't see us learning in September. They also ignored. And you know, us, we just say the truth. They realize now when we were out. Next time, let them listen to the warnings from the unions. I don't want students to be subjected to the suffering that happened in September, because students suffered, parents suffered. Our wish, we don't go back there again.
Okay. And so having seen the impact that this strike had on parents and their families, and I've seen parents, students, and even some university councils arguing that this strike disproportionately hurt students, and especially those who are in their final years and those who are looking forward to joining the job market. What plans have you put in place as universities academic staff union to see that this does not happen in future, and especially in 2026, so as not to affect those that are looking forward to graduating and getting into the job market?
You know, as a union, our hands are tied. Right. For instance, if you don't honor the agreement we have with you, what do you want us to do? Once I come to your boardroom, I write you letters, I do reminders, and you still just keep quiet. When I'm defeated, together with my neck, the next alternative is that I go to the members. And once I go to the members, they will come out. So, can the government honor their obligations? If the government and IPCCF honor their obligations, we shall not have a strike again. But if they don't honor, strike is a right. I will not negotiate with anybody to call it. It is there in law.
So if the government, if the treasury does not honor whatever you agreed, we are likely to see another strike in 2026?
Not likely. You will see. You will see. Like if they don't pay, there's 50. You will see us on the streets.
What are the timelines?
We gave them up to 31st of December. But they can pay before that. But if they don't pay,
you're back to the street.
We'll back to the street, and this time they will pay. I will not have to negotiate with them.
And lecturers went unpaid for that period of time when universities were shut. What is the status right now? Have they been paid? And I remember there were those show-cause letters, and even as you were appearing before the Parliamentary Education Committee, you said categorically that you'd like for the government to withdraw those show-cause letters. So far, what is the status?
The show-cause letters were withdrawn. Immediately, we signed the return to work formula. Almost all universities withdrew the show-cause letters. We just have one case at Moi University where the university management trying to victimize our organizing secretary.
Okay.
And that matter, we have taken it to court. Because that return to work formula was adopted as a court order. So if Moi University still insists in disciplining our member, by extension, they are disobeying the court order. And as a union, I've taken that matter to court so that the court can give us direction on that matter. But so far, the salaries that universities they held in September and October, they paid. We just have that one isolated case at Moi University. But I know we shall overcome.
Yeah. Let's talk about the CBA, 2017-2021, 8 years later, a CBA that was signed 8 years ago. Why is it dragging for so long? What is the issue?
Universities do not like honoring CBAs. That has been the problem. I want to give you an example. When I took over this office as the Secretary General, what was worrying me, that why do universities negotiate CBAs late all the time? And we realized that the universities like negotiating CBAs late because they are gaining from those CBAs. Because when you negotiate the CBA at the end of the cycle, how will you be able to trace the people who are in the system? So I still believe that we negotiate these CBAs, and the people who exit from the system, it is the management that benefit from this. That's the reason, the reason why they don't want to negotiate the CBA at the beginning. There's something they are benefiting from that we need to investigate. You negotiate a CBA, you will find some employees have retired, some have transferred to other universities. That should be avoided. So
what plans are there, Bona SG, for this to end? Because 2017-2021, it is now 2025, 8 years later, and that CBA is still pending. And I remember in one of the press conferences, you mentioned, and I quote, that dons do not feed on promissory notes, end of quote. So how are we going to stop these promises from the government, from the treasury, year in, year out?
What the government should do, universities should negotiate their CBAs through interministerial committee. We did it last year, and we managed to expedite negotiations. But vice chancellors have virtually usurped the role of councils. We should be negotiating with councils, not vice chancellors, because vice chancellors are our colleagues, and they have interest. So for us to avoid these problems, universities should negotiate through interministerial committee. People who have nothing to benefit from those CBAs. Yeah.
All right, let's move away from the strike and the CBAs and now look at the funding model. It is a model that has been faced with a myriad of challenges, but from your perspective, from where you sit, do you think this model has worked or failed?
That model has totally failed. Although the government had good intentions. But as we speak now, universities don't have money. The government should be releasing help and scholarship for students on time before they resume studies. At the same time, the government should not peg university workers' salaries on this funding model. We have recommended to the government time and again that university workers should be paid directly from Treasury, the way they pay teachers and other civil servants.
All right, Wasonga, if you could speak to the Wasonga who entered office in 2016, that is roughly 10 years ago, what advice would you give them?
Lecturers will tell you that this Secretary General has overperformed. I want to tell you that usually Secretary Generals negotiate 2 CBAs, then their tenure ends. But I want to tell you that I've negotiated 4 CBAs. 2013, 2017, no union in the public sector negotiated 2013, 2017 CBA. I negotiated it when I came in. I insisted that we must negotiate that CBA. Other unions in the public sector left it. Ask them, where is their 2013, 2017 CBA? And we managed to get for our members 15.2 billion. I negotiated 2017, 2021. I negotiated 2021, 2025. Currently, I want to say we are about to put pen to paper on 2025, 2029. Which Secretary General will they get? Who works like a machine, like me? They will not get. That's the reason why they are saying Wasonga must stay.
All right, Dr. Wasonga, you are nationally and maybe even internationally known as a very tough leader, a lecturer's defender. Sometimes they've called you controversial, fearless, principled, stubborn. But in your own words, who is Dr. Constantine Wasonga? How would you describe yourself?
I'm a defender of human rights.
Okay.
I'm a human rights lawyer. I don't like people infringing on other people's rights. That one I can go at any length. And especially lecturers. Because these are people who have been mishandled for quite a long time. But when we go to the house, my children know that I'm the softest person. Even my spouse is tougher than me. So
if we had your kids here and asked them to point the toughest parent, they would point their mother?
They would point their mother.
Oh, that's new. How we see you on TV in the headlines is a tough man.
Hiyo ni kazi.
Kutafuta 2K urgently itaki mchezo.
Sitaki mchezo. Because the people who have elected me want me to perform. That is the mandate. And they know I cannot betray them.
Yes.
What I tell my colleagues in the public sector, unions, it is not a must that you be the Secretary General if you cannot serve the interests of your members. Yes. Any member of WASU or any member of the union can serve as Secretary General. But once they have elected you, serve them to the best of your ability.
So what keeps you grounded? Because I know there's a lot of pressure that comes with this position from the government, from your members. When moto imewaka kabisa, what really keeps you grounded? What keeps you pushing?
What keeps me grounded before I enter? I'm one person who gets here. At 6 a.m., always I'm here. And I pray. It is prayer that has been guiding me. Even when my members are crying, they want me to call over the strike. Once I've prayed and I believe that what I'm doing is right, I will not call over the strike. I will not. Sometimes I differ with my NEC members. They advise me to retreat. I tell them, do this. Can you leave if you cannot fight? Because our members want results. And we have achieved.
Dr. Wasonga, as we wind up this conversation, what should parents, students, lecturers, and the country at large expect from WASU in 2026?
2026, we expect peace. I don't want to be a prophet of doom because I believe the government saw how lecturers were determined. I pray that the government honors this obligation so that we can have peace. That if the government honor their obligation, we should not have a strike in the near future. But if they don't honor, si mimi mnanijua.
Thank you so much, Dr. Constantine Wasonga. That is the Secretary General for Universities Academic Staff Union. Thank you so much to you, our viewer, for following this special conversation on Events 2025. My name is Andrine Kilemi. Have yourselves a lovely